Hi everyone and welcome to this week's Guru Gardening class. I am Kirsty, I'm responsible for the health and well-being in the centre and I'm really pleased that you could join us. It's another absolutely glorious day and they're few and far between. A little bit chillier, but nevertheless the sun is shining and that is always good for lifting your mood. So at the minute you might be watching a lot of programmes and seeing a lot of adverts and things about growing seeds, looking after your mental health in the garden, and I thought, well, it might be good to tell you a little bit more about that. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about seeds and cuttings, and the reason why I want to do that is it's really easy to grow more plants from plants that you already have, but some of us just don't know that and some of us are a little bit unsure about how to go about that. So a really simple way to start off is probably with herbs, and today I'm going to start off with mint. So mint is one of those plants that, unless you want a garden full of mint, don't plant it in a flower bed, but do keep it in a pot. And it's great to have a supply of herbs because fresh herbs and spices and things like that you can make up yourself are so much better whenever you're cooking than just buying the shop bought ones, and they're really easy to do. So on my windowsill I have some coriander, parsley, basil and mint, but out of them all, mint is definitely the easiest to grow yourself. And the good thing is you can pick these up in garden centres, you can also pick them up in local supermarkets as well. They're usually around the fruit and veg section. So whenever it comes to taking cuttings, you just need to be sensible really, but the good thing about mint is that mint will pretty much put roots out as soon as it's cut from the mother plant, shall we say. So what I'm going to do is, this is one of the plants I've used for a couple of other demos, so it's a little bit worse for wear. But I might be able to do a zoom in on this after I finish the video, but this is a bit that I cut last week and you can already see it's putting out 2 new leaves here, which is great because it just regenerates itself all the time. So what I'm going to do is, there's a long stalk here and I'm just going to cut that off just above a couple of the little leaves. A nice sharp pair of scissors work wonders for this. And that is all you need for a cutting. And what you want to do is take that and put it in a glass or a jug of water and leave it on your windowsill. Just be mindful that you're not leaving them on the window in full sunlight all day, or they could just look a little bit sad, and sometimes they may not recover. Mint is usually quite good at recovering, but the likes of basil, if you're trying to grow it, needs a little bit more time, and if it gets the sun on it, you might find it goes a bit floppy and just never really gets back to full strength. So this is what you're going to take, and then you're going to put it in a glass of water. So I'm just going to lift these out, and it's just a glass of water. Pop it in, and that's it. So let's move this so you can actually see it. A small glass or a longer cutting, whatever you need to make it work. I had a bunch in here and I'm going to show you what's actually happened. So I've got quite a lot growing because, as you know, we're trying to make up little boxes for you that you can get your mint and your plants, fruit and veg and different things like that, and grow your own. What I've done is I have grown some mint, and these were put in on Saturday. And you can see the roots that has already put out, masses of roots, and it's the same with pretty much all of them. So I'm going to take a few of these, and what I will now do is pop that back in there. That one's blowing away, it is quite gusty. We'll put those back in. So Crow has come down to join me. We'll leave that over there. So I've got 4 of them here, and just a pot. First things first, most importantly, label your pot. Don't play the guessing game later on, it never works out. So that's going to be our mint, and all we're going to do is form a little hole down into the centre of the pot. Now this is just normal compost, just whatever you can get your hands on at the minute. We're just going to put that in there. Pick one of these, and it goes. And when you're putting the compost in around it, just make sure that you really firm it up, but not really putting pressure on it, because what's going to happen is you're going to water these and the compost is going to sink down nicely around those roots, and that will allow that plant to come up. If I want, I can leave it in that and just let it become its own little plant, or I can plant it into something bigger. Just bear in mind that no matter what you put mint into, it will do its very best to spread out and fill it. Mint is one of those plants that basically puts out runners, the same as strawberries. So you might find if you put it in a bed, you'll have all these runners and multiple mint plants coming up throughout your garden, which, unless you're really into mint, not too many people want, because they're a nightmare to try and get rid of. As soon as you do that, absolute nightmare. So that's our mint plant. I'm just going to do another one while I'm here. Again, just make a hole, pop it in, and that's that. Another little one ready. And I will keep doing that as the afternoon goes on, and we will have lots of new little mint plants within days. So a great way just to, you can say you've got too much and you're taking cuttings, you can also pop them into water and grow one for somebody else. They might not have mint or any herbs, and you'll be able to give that to them, and it's just a nice little treat to always receive something like that. So the next thing I want to talk about is seeds. And at the minute, if you're smart, you may have noticed that there aren't too many seeds in the shops, because everybody's become a gardener and everybody wants to grow their own. But a lot of the gardening magazines at the minute are giving away seed packets, maybe 5, 6. I picked up one the other day with 10 packs of seeds in it. And you can take those. A lot of them are plant now for blooms in the summer, so really good to rush out and get those. And you can take those and plant them up in your own garden, and some of them are planted straight into the garden, and some of them you need to bring on in a seed tray first of all. So it's just a good tip, because the magazines work out about £6-7, but if you get 6 packs of seeds that should retail at £3.50, well, you can do the maths and you know that it's a good deal to pick one of those up. So I have been planting nasturtiums and petunias over the last few days. I like nasturtiums because they're nice bright colours. They can also go into salads. You can eat the flowers and you can eat the leaves, but they're great for ground cover, and they're also good for pollinators. So lots of perks there, and fairly easy to pick up. You might not get these free with a magazine, but you can pick them up or order them online. And they're not expensive. $2.49 will get you more than enough to do a good couple of flower beds or hanging baskets. They can go into quite a lot of different containers. So great tip for those ones. Get them planted now, and then they can go out into the garden. So the petunias are coming on really well. These were planted about 10 days ago, and we have lots of baby petunias at the minute. But these aren't ready just to get planted on. What we need to do is wait until they grow up a little further past these leaves. So these are what are known as the seed leaves. Basically they're the leaves that are needed to push out of the seed and allow the plant to grow. So they're not doing too much at the minute. What we need is for the next set of leaves to come up. So we'll keep an eye on those, and whenever the next set of leaves come up above that, we'll have ourselves a little plant, and then we can get those transplanted, as we've done with the mint, into a bigger plant container. The petunias are lovely. They can give lots and lots of cascading blooms, lots of pinks, purples, reds, whites, blues, whatever you fancy. They're great for hanging baskets as well, or for bedding, edges of bedding or hanging baskets. So they're definitely one to grow. They're really easy to grow. You don't need to be too scared of it. That's just a seed tray. You can use anything as a seed tray now. We're going to use some lids of paper boxes. You can also use milk cartons or old cereal boxes and plant them up with a little bit of compost. Keep them nice and damp and put your seeds in it, and it will last long enough to ensure that those seeds do grow for you, and then you can get them moved on. So a couple of tips there. And then the last one I want to talk to you about is about your fruit and veg, and there's lots of things that you can grow at home, but the one that I am going to show you today is this onion, which I abandoned. It did sprout, but from it you can see that there are actually 2 new bulbs growing. So what I'm going to do is just gently separate this out. And the important bit to leave is this bit around the bottom, because that's where the roots are going to come from. So what I'm going to do is just cut off some of this to expose the flesh. And these aren't necessarily too important, so let's just put those out. So we're going to cut those off. Take off some of these extra bits here, and you'll have what looks like a rather fat scallion or spring onion. And what we're going to do with that is just pop it in a large container or in a raised bed, and that's the easiest way you're going to grow onions, and they won't take too long to come up, and that'll give you more produce for your own back garden, and something you can sort of claim a little bit of fame about, having grown your own onions in your garden. The likes of scallions or anything like that can also be grown in the exact same way. Just bring them on, pop them into a little bit of water beforehand if they seem a little dry, and then go ahead and plant them, and you'll get your own plants. The same goes for potatoes, products like that. You'll probably find that sometimes when they lie in the cupboard for a long time, they might put out little tubers. If they're in there for a really long time, you might get leaves and everything. So basically what to do with those is, if you get the small ones, you can plant those up. Now, ideally what you'd want to do is use seeded potatoes, and then they're basically potatoes from the previous season, and you can plant those up. But say you wanted to just grow your own, why not just use some of those old potatoes that you have in your cupboard that you didn't manage to use, that have started to sprout, and pop them in. You'll get some new potatoes by the end of summer, and again you just get that little bit of excitement from being in the garden and growing your own, and trial and error, and seeing what you can grow and what you can't. Not everything can be grown easily, and not everything will go to plan, but you know, we're at home, and there's a lot of joy that can be gained from just being out in the garden and trying things and watching something grow from a seed right up into a lovely plant in your garden, or something that you can enjoy as part of a meal. So I hope that's been useful. It's a lovely day. I'm going to go and spend some time in the garden now. There's plenty of weeds cropping up everywhere that need to be removed, so I'm going to go and get rid of those. But I hope you have a great week, and I hope that you join us tomorrow for our cookery class. Not quite sure what we're going to do, but I think it might be something sweet this week, because it's kind of what I'm in the mood for. So thanks for joining me, and see you next week.